Hello, and welcome back to the Sleepy Facts Show, the place where you can drift off gently while learning something new. Tonight, we'll be exploring fascinating facts about Stoicism. As you settle in, feel free to let me know in the comments where in the world you're listening from. I always enjoy seeing how far these episodes travel, and if you'd like to support the show, you can find those details in the description. But for now, just get comfortable, and we'll ease into tonight's topic. Stoicism began in ancient Greece around the early 3rd century BCE. It emerged in Athens, which at the time was one of the intellectual centers of the Mediterranean world. Philosophers gathered there to debate questions about ethics, knowledge, and the nature of the universe. Stoicism eventually became one of the most influential philosophical traditions of the ancient world, shaping both Greek and Roman thought for centuries. The philosophy of Stoicism was founded by a man named Zeno of Citium. As his name suggests, Zeno was originally a merchant from the city of Citium on the island of Cyprus. According to ancient accounts, his life changed after a shipwreck destroyed his cargo, leaving him stranded in Athens. There, he began studying philosophy and eventually developed the ideas that would become Stoicism. The word Stoicism comes from a place where Zeno taught his students. He held discussions at a public walkway in Athens known as the Stoa Poikile, which means painted porch. This structure was decorated with large murals depicting famous battles and historical scenes. Over time, people began referring to Zeno's followers as Stoics, simply because they gathered at the Stoa. After Zeno died, the leadership of the Stoic school passed to his student Cleanthes. Cleanthes was known for his dedication and persistence rather than intellectual brilliance. He reportedly worked at night carrying water so that he could study philosophy during the day. Although few of his writings survive, he played an important role in keeping the Stoic tradition alive during its early years. Another early Stoic philosopher named Chrysippus expanded the ideas of Stoicism significantly. He wrote hundreds of books covering topics such as logic, physics, and ethics. Ancient scholars sometimes joked that if Chrysippus had not existed, there would be no Stoicism. His work helped transform the philosophy from a collection of teachings into a structured intellectual system. Unfortunately, many of the writings from the earliest Stoic philosophers no longer survive. The works of Zeno, Cleanthes, and Chrysippus were gradually lost over the centuries. Much of what historians know about their ideas comes from later philosophers quoting or summarizing them. As a result, our understanding of early Stoicism is somewhat incomplete. Although Stoicism began in Greece, it became especially influential in the Roman world. Roman thinkers were attracted to the philosophy because it emphasized duty, discipline, and moral character. These values fit well with Roman cultural ideals about leadership and responsibility. Over time, Stoicism became one of the most respected philosophical traditions in Rome. When Stoicism spread to Rome, its emphasis shifted somewhat. Earlier Greek Stoics had explored complex questions about logic and the nature of the universe. Roman Stoics focused more on how philosophy could guide everyday behavior. Their writings often read more like personal advice than abstract philosophical theory. Several of the best-known Stoic philosophers lived during the Roman imperial period. Among them were Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. Each of these thinkers wrote about how Stoicism could help people handle hardship, responsibility, and uncertainty. Their works are still widely read today. Stoicism remained influential for many generations. It first appeared around 300 BCE and continued shaping philosophical thought well into the later Roman Empire. During this long period, Stoic ideas spread across the Mediterranean world. Even after the original school faded, its ideas continued influencing later philosophies. A central belief in Stoicism is that virtue is the most important thing in life. Virtue refers to moral excellence and living according to reason. Stoic philosophers argued that external things like wealth, fame, or comfort are far less important. A good life, according to Stoicism, is one guided by wisdom and ethical behavior. External circumstances may change constantly, but moral character can remain stable. Because of this, Stoics argued that happiness should not depend on wealth, health, or reputation. Instead, it should come from living according to reason and integrity. Stoics often spoke about living in accordance with nature. This phrase did not simply mean living outdoors or respecting the environment. Rather, it referred to living in harmony with the rational structure of the universe. Humans possess reason, and using it wisely was considered part of living naturally. Reason was considered the defining trait of human beings in Stoic philosophy. Because humans can think rationally, they have the ability to understand the world and make ethical choices. Stoics believed that following reason leads to a more stable and meaningful life. Ignoring reason, on the other hand, often leads to emotional turmoil. Stoic philosophers believed the universe operates according to rational principles. They used the terms logos to describe this underlying order. Logos referred to the idea that everything in nature unfolds according to rational structure. In this view, the universe itself is organized and meaningful rather than chaotic. The concept of logos was central to Stoic metaphysics. Stoics believed logos permeated the entire universe, guiding natural processes and events. Humans possessing reason share in this universal rationality. Because of this connection, Stoics believed people could understand and align themselves with the natural order. Stoic philosophy often emphasizes resilience in the face of difficulty. Life inevitably includes loss, disappointment, and hardship. Stoics believed that training the mind helps individuals face these challenges calmly. Rather than becoming overwhelmed by emotion, a Stoic aims to respond with thoughtful judgment. Stoics distinguished between natural emotions and destructive passions. Passions such as uncontrolled anger, fear, or envy were seen as the result of mistaken judgments. Stoic training focused on correcting those judgments. By thinking more clearly about events, a person could reduce emotional suffering. Many people mistakenly believe Stoicism requires eliminating all emotions. In reality, Stoics believed certain emotions were healthy and appropriate. Feelings such as kindness, joy, and goodwill were encouraged. The goal was not emotional numbness, but emotional balance guided by reason. Stoic philosophers argued that emotions often come from how we interpret events. Two people might experience the same situation but react differently depending on their beliefs about it. Because of this, Stoics focused on examining their own thoughts and assumptions. By changing how they judged events, they believed they could transform their emotional responses. One of the most famous ideas in Stoicism is the distinction between what we can control and what we cannot. Stoic philosophers believed that much of human suffering comes from trying to control things that are outside of our power. By clearly recognizing this difference, a person can avoid unnecessary frustration and anxiety. This idea became one of the most practical and widely discussed teachings of Stoic philosophy. According to Stoic teaching, certain things are entirely within our control. These include our thoughts, our decisions, and the actions we choose to take. Stoics believed that our moral character is shaped by these choices. Because these things belong to us alone, they should be the main focus of our effort and attention. Stoics emphasized that many parts of life lie beyond our control. Other people's opinions, unexpected accidents, illness, and changes in fortune are examples of things we cannot fully determine. Since these events are outside of our influence, worrying about them endlessly only leads to distress. Stoic philosophy encourages accepting these realities calmly. Once someone understands the difference between controllable and uncontrollable events, Stoicism recommends directing energy wisely. Effort should go toward improving character, making thoughtful decisions, and acting ethically. Trying to dominate external circumstances is often futile. By focusing inward instead, Stoics believed people could live more peaceful lives. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus spoke often about the importance of control and acceptance. His teachings were recorded by one of his students in a short guide called the Enchiridion. The very first lines of the book explain that some things are up to us while others are not. This simple idea became one of the most recognizable principles of Stoic philosophy. Stoics believed that emotional calm comes from accepting reality as it unfolds. Fighting against events that cannot be changed only increases frustration. Instead, Stoicism encourages acknowledging circumstances honestly and responding thoughtfully. This mindset allows a person to remain steady even during difficult times. Although Stoics encouraged acceptance, they did not advocate passivity or laziness. Stoic philosophers believed people could still act courageously and responsibly where they can make a difference. Accepting reality does not mean giving up effort. Instead, it means focusing effort in the places where it can truly matter. Stoic thinkers argued that events themselves are not inherently distressing. Instead, suffering often arises from the judgments we attach to those events. For example, losing money may feel devastating if someone believes wealth defines their value. Changing these interpretations can transform how situations are experienced. Because judgments shape emotional reactions, Stoics believed perspective is powerful. A setback can be seen either as a disaster or as a challenge to overcome. Stoic training encourages people to reinterpret events in ways that support resilience. By adjusting perspective, individuals can often maintain emotional balance. One of the goals of Stoic practice is slowing down the moment between event and reaction. Instead of responding immediately with anger or fear, Stoics try to pause and examine their thoughts. This moment of reflection allows reason to guide behavior. Over time, this habit can lead to calmer and more deliberate actions. Lucius Annaeus Seneca was a philosopher, writer, and statesman in ancient Rome. He served as an advisor to the Roman Emperor Nero during the early years of Nero's rule. Seneca wrote extensively about Stoic ethics and the challenges of wealth, power, and political life. His writings remain some of the most accessible Stoic texts today. Many of Seneca's philosophical ideas survived in the form of essays and letters. His collection of letters to Lucilius offers reflections on topics such as friendship, anger, death, and time. Rather than presenting abstract theories, Seneca often wrote in a conversational and practical tone. These writings helped introduce Stoic ideas to a wider audience. Epictetus, another important Stoic philosopher, began life as a slave in the Roman Empire. Despite this difficult beginning, he became deeply interested in philosophy and eventually gained his freedom. Afterward, he established a school where he taught Stoic ideas to students. His life story often illustrates Stoic resilience and determination. Unlike some philosophers, Epictetus did not write his teachings himself. Instead, his lessons were recorded by a student named Arion. These notes were later compiled into works such as Discourses and the Enchiridion. Through these texts, Epictetus' practical advice on Stoic living has survived for centuries. A key message in Epictetus' philosophy was personal responsibility. He believed that individuals must take ownership of their thoughts and reactions. Even when circumstances were unfair or painful, people still control how they interpret and respond to events. This belief made his teachings especially powerful for people facing hardship. Marcus Aurelius ruled the Roman Empire from 161 to 180 CE. Despite the enormous responsibilities of governing an empire, he remained deeply interested in philosophy. He studied Stoicism and tried to apply its lessons to leadership and daily life. His reflections provide a rare glimpse into the mind of a philosophical ruler. During military campaigns and long journeys, Marcus Aurelius kept a private journal. In his notebook, he wrote reminders to himself about Stoic principles. These writings were never meant to be published. After his death, however, they were preserved and eventually became known as Meditations. The book Meditations has been read for centuries by philosophers, leaders, and ordinary readers. It offers short reflections about discipline, mortality, and human behavior. Because it was written as a personal journal, its tone feels honest and introspective. Many people find its quiet reflections deeply calming. Marcus Aurelius faced many challenges during his reign, including wars, political tensions, and a devastating plague. Despite these pressures, he tried to follow Stoic principles of patience, humility, and duty. His writings reveal constant reminders to remain calm and fair. For many readers, this makes him one of the most admirable Stoic figures. Although Stoicism includes many thinkers, Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius are the most widely studied today. Their works survived largely because they were copied and preserved through the centuries. Each writer approached Stoicism slightly differently, offering unique perspectives. Together, they form the core of most modern introductions to Stoic philosophy. Daily reflection was an important exercise in Stoic philosophy. At the end of each day, Stoics were encouraged to review their actions and decisions. They would consider where they acted wisely and where they might improve. This quiet habit of reflection helped strengthen self-awareness and personal growth. Stoics often began the day with a moment of preparation. They would remind themselves that challenges, disagreements, and unexpected problems were likely to arise. By anticipating these situations, they could respond calmly instead of reacting impulsively. This practice helped them approach the day with patience and realism. Negative visualization was a mental exercise used by many Stoics. In this practice, a person briefly imagines losing something they value, such as possessions, health, or relationships. The purpose was not to create anxiety, but to remind oneself that life is fragile and temporary. This reflection often deepened appreciation for what one currently has. By imagining the absence of something meaningful, people often recognize its value more clearly. Stoics believed this practice helps prevent taking good circumstances for granted. Instead of constantly craving more, individuals can learn to appreciate what already exists in their lives. This perspective fosters quiet gratitude. Some Stoic philosophers suggested occasionally choosing mild discomfort. This might include wearing simple clothing, eating plain food, or sleeping without luxury. These experiences reminded people that happiness does not depend entirely on comfort. They also prepared individuals to face hardship with greater confidence. Historical accounts describe Stoics occasionally practicing small forms of physical discipline. These practices were not intended as punishment, but as training for resilience. Experimenting discomfort voluntarily helped reduce fear of hardship. When difficulties later appeared in life, they would feel less overwhelming. Self-discipline is one of the most important virtues in Stoic philosophy. Stoics believed that controlling impulses and habits strengthens character. Through practice and repetition, individuals can shape their behavior and responses. Over time, discipline allows reason to guide actions more consistently. Stoic thinkers often emphasized the value of mental preparation. Life inevitably includes setbacks, illness, and loss. By acknowledging this reality in advance, a person can respond more calmly when difficulties arise. Preparation transforms surprise into understanding. Regular reflection allows individuals to examine their thinking patterns. Stoics believed that many emotional struggles come from mistaken assumptions. By observing thoughts carefully, people can recognize when those assumptions are unrealistic or harmful. Correcting these judgments leads to greater emotional balance. Gratitude was another quiet habit encouraged by Stoic philosophy. Rather than focusing on what is missing, Stoics tried to appreciate what is already present. This could include simple experiences such as friendship, health, or a peaceful moment. Gratitude helped cultivate contentment in everyday life. Justice was considered one of the 4 central Stoic virtues. Stoic philosophers believed people should treat others with fairness and respect. Because all humans share reason, they deserve moral consideration. Acting justly was seen as an essential part of living a virtuous life. Stoics believed that reason exists not only within individuals, but also throughout humanity. Every person has the capacity to think rationally and make ethical choices. This idea suggested that all humans share a fundamental connection. As a result, Stoics often emphasized empathy and understanding toward others. Because Stoics believed all humans possess reason, they also believed everyone deserves moral dignity. This view was somewhat unusual in the hierarchical societies of the ancient world. While Stoics did not eliminate social inequalities, their ideas influenced later discussions about equality. Many later thinkers found inspiration in this aspect of Stoic philosophy. Stoic philosophers introduced the idea of cosmopolitanism, meaning citizen of the world. They believed people belong not only to their local city or nation, but to a broader human community. This idea encouraged cooperation and shared responsibility among people. It suggested that moral concern should extend beyond political borders. Although Stoicism is often associated with emotional restraint, it also emphasizes kindness. Stoic thinkers believed people should act with patience and goodwill toward others. Everyone faces difficulties and misunderstandings in life. Recognizing this shared struggle encourages compassion. Stoic ethics centers on 4 key virtues. These virtues are wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation. Together, they form a balanced model of ethical behavior. Stoics believed practicing these virtues leads to a stable and meaningful life. The 4 Stoic virtues were seen as deeply interconnected. Wisdom helps people understand what is right, while courage allows them to act on that knowledge. Justice ensures fairness toward others, and moderation prevents excess. Practicing all 4 creates a balanced character. In Stoic philosophy, wisdom involves understanding reality clearly. It helps people distinguish between what truly matters and what does not. With wisdom, individuals can make thoughtful decisions rather than impulsive ones. This clarity supports a more peaceful and purposeful life. Courage was not only associated with physical bravery in Stoic thought, it also referred to emotional strength and resilience. Life often includes challenges that require patience and endurance. Courage allows individuals to face these moments without losing integrity. Justice guides how people treat those around them. Stoics believed individuals have responsibilities toward family, community, and humanity as a whole. Acting justly means respecting the rights and dignity of others. In this way, Stoicism connects personal virtue with social responsibility. Stoic philosophers believed the human mind could be strengthened through practice. Just as physical exercise strengthens the body, mental discipline strengthens character. By repeatedly practicing rational thinking and self-control, individuals can improve their emotional stability. Over time, this training helps create a calmer and more thoughtful outlook on life. Stoics believed that repeated patterns of thinking gradually shape how people experience the world. If someone frequently focuses on anger or worry, those emotions can become more common. On the other hand, practicing patience and reflection can cultivate calmer reactions. In this way, Stoicism encourages building healthier mental habits. Stoic thinkers emphasized paying attention to one's internal thoughts. Much of human experience is shaped by the quiet conversation people have with themselves throughout the day. By noticing these thoughts, individuals can begin to question whether they are reasonable or exaggerated. This awareness allows people to gradually replace harmful thinking with more balanced perspectives. Events themselves are often neutral, but our interpretation of them gives them meaning. Stoic philosophers believed that how we interpret situations strongly influences our emotional reactions. A challenge can be seen as a disaster or as an opportunity to grow. Stoicism encourages choosing interpretations that support resilience and understanding. In Stoic philosophy, self-control is viewed as a powerful form of strength. The ability to guide one's own thoughts and actions creates stability even in difficult circumstances. Stoics believed that a person who controls their impulses is truly free. Without self-control, people may become slaves to their emotions and desires. Patience was highly valued among Stoic thinkers. They recognized that meaningful change often requires time and consistent effort. Instead of expecting immediate results, Stoics practiced steady perseverance. This mindset helps people remain committed even when progress is slow. Many Stoic writers observed that disappointment arises when reality does not match our expectations. When people expect constant comfort or success, setbacks feel overwhelming. Stoicism encourages maintaining realistic expectations about life's challenges. This perspective helps people accept difficulties more calmly. Stoic philosophy became closely connected with Roman ideas about duty and leadership. Many Roman politicians and officials admired Stoic teachings about discipline and moral responsibility. Stoicism encouraged leaders to act with fairness and restraint. These ideas helped shape discussions about ethical governance in Rome. Several Roman senators studied Stoic philosophy as a guide for public service. They believed Stoic principles could help them remain honest and courageous in political life. In times of corruption or instability, Stoicism offered a framework for personal integrity. This made the philosophy especially appealing to those in positions of power. Because Stoicism emphasized virtue and justice, some Stoic thinkers openly criticized unjust rulers. This sometimes placed them in conflict with powerful emperors. Speaking against corruption required considerable courage. In several cases, Stoic philosophers faced exile or punishment for their beliefs. Political tensions in the Roman Empire occasionally led to the exile of philosophers. Some Stoics were seen as threats because their teachings emphasized moral independence. A ruler who valued absolute loyalty might view such ideas as dangerous. Despite exile, many Stoics continued teaching and writing. Over time, Stoicism gained a reputation for promoting strong moral character. Stoic individuals were often admired for their honesty and dedication to duty. The philosophy encouraged people to act ethically even when it was difficult. This emphasis on integrity became one of Stoicism's defining traits. Roman Stoics often believed that individuals should contribute positively to their communities. Living virtuously was not only a personal achievement, but also a social responsibility. People were encouraged to fulfill their roles within society with care and dedication. In this way, Stoicism linked personal ethics with civic duty. Stoic philosophy recognized that people occupy many roles in life. Someone might be a parent, a citizen, a friend, or a leader. Each role carries certain responsibilities and expectations. Stoics believed fulfilling these roles thoughtfully was an important part of ethical living. Stoic teachings often reminded leaders not to become arrogant or selfish. Power and status are temporary circumstances rather than permanent achievements. By remembering this, leaders could remain humble and fair. Humility helps prevent authority from turning to tyranny. Some ideas in Stoicism later appeared in early Christian writings. Concepts such as self-discipline, humility, and endurance during hardship were admired by early Christian thinkers. While Stoicism and Christianity differ in many beliefs, they share certain ethical themes. Because of this overlap, some Stoic ideas continued circulating in religious philosophy. Even after the ancient Stoic schools faded, their ideas were not completely forgotten. Medieval scholars often encouraged Stoic ideas through Roman writers like Seneca. These texts continued influencing discussions about ethics and personal conduct. In this way, Stoicism quietly shaped philosophical thought across centuries. During the Renaissance, many classical works were rediscovered and studied again. Scholars began reading Stoic texts with renewed interest. Philosophers admired the Stoic emphasis on reason, virtue, and personal discipline. This revival helped introduce Stoicism to a new generation of readers. Stoicism remains a topic of serious study in modern philosophy. Scholars analyze Stoic ideas about ethics, logic, and the nature of the universe. These discussions often compare Stoicism with other philosophical traditions. Even after more than 2,000 years, Stoic ideas still provoke thoughtful debate. Some principles of Stoic philosophy resemble ideas used in modern psychology. Stoics believed that our thoughts influence our emotions and reactions. Modern therapists often work with similar concepts when helping people change harmful thinking patterns. Because of this connection, Stoicism is sometimes seen as an early influence on psychological practices. Cognitive behavioral therapy, often called CBT, focuses on changing patterns of thought that cause distress. This approach resembles Stoic teachings about examining judgments and interpretations. Both systems suggest that thoughts shape emotional experiences. By adjusting these thoughts, individuals can reduce anxiety and negative emotions. In both Stoicism and CBT, the mind plays an important role in shaping emotional life. Rather than seeing emotions as uncontrollable forces, these approaches encourage examining underlying beliefs. If a belief is unrealistic or harmful, it can be challenged and replaced. This process gradually leads to more balanced emotional responses. In recent decades, Stoicism has become popular again around the world. Many people have rediscovered the philosophy as a guide for navigating stress and uncertainty. Books, podcasts, and online communities discuss Stoic practices and ideas. This modern revival shows how ancient philosophy can still feel relevant today. Modern readers often encounter Stoicism through accessible books and translations of ancient texts. Works like Meditations by Marcus Aurelius remain especially popular. These writings provide reflections on discipline, resilience, and humility. For many people, Stoic philosophy offers a calm perspective in a fast-moving world. Stoicism has attracted interest from leaders, entrepreneurs, and athletes. The philosophy emphasizes focus, resilience, and emotional control under pressure. These qualities are valuable in demanding professions and competitive environments. As a result, Stoic ideas often appear in discussions about performance and leadership. Modern Stoicism often emphasizes everyday usefulness rather than complex theory. Many people use Stoic principles to guide decisions, manage stress, and reflect on personal goals. The philosophy encourages small daily habits that build mental resilience. In this way, Stoicism becomes a practical framework for daily life. Journaling has become a common practice among modern students of Stoicism. Writing thoughts down allows people to examine their judgments more clearly. This habit also helps track personal growth over time. The practice echoes the reflective writing seen in Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. Because Stoicism teaches acceptance and emotional balance, many people use it as a tool for handling stress. Stoic philosophy frequently reminds people of their limitations. No one fully controls the world around them, and no one is perfect in judgment. Recognizing these limits encourages humility. Self-awareness helps individuals continue improving their character. Many modern discussions about productivity, resilience, and mental strength draw inspiration from Stoicism. Ideas about discipline, reflection, and acceptance appear in numerous books and courses. While interpretations vary, the core Stoic principles remain recognizable. This ongoing influence shows the philosophy's lasting relevance. Ultimately, Stoicism focuses on how to live a good life even when circumstances are difficult. Wealth, comfort, and success may come and go, but character remains within our control. By practicing reason, virtue, and acceptance, Stoics believed people could maintain inner peace. This simple idea has allowed Stoicism to endure for more than 2,000 years. That brings us to the end of tonight's episode. If you'd like to hear more calm explorations like this, you can follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. And a quiet thank you to the supporters who help make this show possible. If you'd like to support the show as well, you can join them through the Patreon link in the description. Until next time, sleep well.